What if the biggest problem with your next PC is not performance, price, or battery life, but the fact that it is listening more than it is helping? Dell, one of the largest PC manufacturers in the world, has now admitted that customers are fed up with that reality. Over 1.4 billion devices worldwide run Windows today, and Microsoft has turned nearly every new machine into what it calls an AI PC, packed with neural processing units and features like Copilot voice commands, Paint Co-Creator, and Windows Studio effects. These tools promise smarter productivity, but according to Dell, customers are disgusted by the hype and simply are not buying. Sales data now show consumers pushing back hard against bloated AI integrations that slow down systems, demand expensive new hardware, and quietly invade privacy through always listening microphones that can activate without clear permission. Think about your own device for a moment. Dell executives confirmed during a CES Q&A that AI has become a point of confusion rather than excitement, with buyers prioritizing performance over unproven gimmicks that drain battery life and complicate daily use. This video uncovers the official story behind Microsoft's Windows 11 AI push, the real consumer backlash driving Dell's retreat, and why this matters to anyone buying or using a PC right now. You will learn exactly what Dell changed, why the hype failed, and precise steps to strip AI out of your own system before your next upgrade decision gets hijacked by empty promises that prioritize corporate agendas over your actual needs. Let us start with the official story. Microsoft first hyped the AI PC era in 2023 at its Build conference, positioning Windows 11 as the foundation for on-device AI that would revolutionize computing for everyone from office workers to gamers. By mid-2024, they mandated neural processing units, NPUs, specialized chips handling trillions of operations per second in Copilot Plus PCs from partners like Dell, Lenovo, and HP. These NPUs were sold as the key to running complex AI models directly on your hardware without constant cloud reliance. Dell eagerly joined in, launching XPS, Inspiron, and even Alienware lines branded as Copilot Plus ready, marketing them as future-proof machines for AI-driven tasks that would make your workflow seamless. The core pitch centered on 4 pillars designed to solve everyday frustrations. First, Copilot voice commands offered hands-free control across apps like Edge, Office, and File Explorer, letting you say, "Open my budget spreadsheet," or summarize this email without touching the keyboard. Second came live captions with real-time translation for meetings. Third, Windows Studio Effects promised AI-enhanced video calls with background blur and eye contact correction. Finally, Paint Co-Creator lets you generate artwork from verbal prompts, like "Create a sunset over mountains." Microsoft claimed these solved real pain points, boosting productivity by 30% in Office tests, enabling instant voice searches across files and apps without typing, and personalizing experiences locally for privacy. For gamers and creators, Dell highlighted NPU's accelerating content generation in tools like Adobe Premiere, all running on Windows 11 version 24H2 or later, which rolled out broadly in late 2025. Dell reinforced this vision in 2025 marketing campaigns, touting AI anywhere on their consumer PCs, with NPUs promising low-latency features like voice-controlled auto-framing in Teams calls or spoken image editing directly in Paint. The goal was clear and ambitious: position PCs as intelligent companions that anticipate your needs, not just hardware that executes commands, solving fragmented workflows by embedding AI at the hardware level from the factory. Now the reality check begins. Independent tech analysts and reviewers quickly dissected these AI PCs, revealing performance hits, usability issues, and privacy flaws that fueled widespread backlash across consumer forums. Sites like TechRadar and Windows Latest documented how Copilot voice commands, despite privacy assurances from Microsoft, constantly listen for wake words like "Hey Copilot," storing unencrypted audio snippets in local databases, accessible via simple file searches anyone with physical access could perform. Even after software fixes, Copilot Plus features demand constant NPU usage, spiking power draw by 20 to 40% on laptops during voice processing and throttling CPU, GPU performance for gaming, as rigorously tested by Notebook Check on Dell XPS. 13 models where frame rates dropped noticeably during background AI tasks. Researchers from Futurism and Reddit Power users ran concrete experiments that exposed deeper problems. Speaking dummy financial data like fake credit card numbers into voice commands showed the AI proactively suggesting completions that echoed those sensitive inputs across multiple sessions, creating digital echoes of private information. Meanwhile, Studio Effects captured background conversations and video feeds without granular controls, pulling in voices from nearby rooms. All this data resides in SQLite databases under C user's username app data folders, often unencrypted or weakly protected by basic system permissions, making it extractable via malware, shared backups, or even routine IT department imaging, a risk amplified on consumer Dell rigs used interchangeably for banking, work, and personal tasks. You probably think muting your microphone protects you from this constant listening, but here's why that assumption falls apart completely. Dell's own CES admission highlights how AI mandates force compromises elsewhere in the system, like reduced RAM allocation for games, dropping as low as 70% effective utilization on Alienware M16R2 during voice processing loads, or thermal throttling that slashes FPS by 15 to 25% in demanding titles like Cyberpunk 2077. This is not theoretical speculation. Real-world benchmarks from AnandTech equivalents and independent labs confirm NPU overhead starves traditional workloads of resources, turning premium gaming laptops meant for 60-plus frames per second into stuttering underperformers that cannot handle modern games at high settings. The always-on microphone culture creates a false sense of security, when in truth, your PC's processing power gets hijacked for corporate AI experiments at the expense of what you actually bought it for. The expert community sounded alarms early and loudly. Privacy advocates like the Electronic Frontier Foundation have long criticized Copilot voice commands design for violating data minimization principles under GDPR and emerging US state laws, arguing that constant hot word listening without explicit opt-in fails basic transparency requirements that demand users know exactly when recording begins. No formal investigations targeted Dell specifically as hardware partner, but Microsoft's 2024 voice feature adjustments followed intense outcry from EU regulators and FTC scrutiny on AI data practices, forcing delays in audio processing rollouts and belated encryption mandates that still left legacy data vulnerable. University researchers at institutions like UCLA's AI Lab published detailed papers in 2025, noting how on-device, AI blurs critical local cloud boundaries, with Copilot voice routinely querying telemetry data streams that could trigger COPPA violations for children's accounts or CCPA fines for family-shared PCs, where children's voices get captured inadvertently. Digital rights groups like Privacy International emphasize consent issues at the heart of the problem. Features activate by default on Copilot plus hardware, capturing voice metadata from casual conversations without clear user warnings or easy disable options buried in submenus. Regulators care deeply because this data, voice patterns that uniquely identify individuals, app states, revealing browsing habits, even partial audio clips containing spoken passwords or addresses, qualifies as behavioral profiles under law, demanding strict purpose limitation and user control. Dell's strategic pivot away from AI marketing sidesteps direct regulatory heat but underscores broader industry pressure to prioritize user control over mandatory always-on AI that collects more than it delivers value. Section 4. Human impact and realistic scenarios. 430 words. These technical flaws translate to real human consequences. Consider a freelance graphic designer using a Dell Inspiron for client pitches over voice calls. Copilot voice commands passively capture spoken contract details like pricing and deadlines. If malware hits via a phishing email or stolen device, that trade secret data exfiltrates easily to attackers, costing months of renegotiations, lost clients, and potential lawsuits over intellectual property theft. For example, imagine a remote teacher on an XPS 14 conducting virtual lessons with students. Studio effects and voice commands record student names, discussion topics, and even behavioral notes and audio metadata tied to video files. A stolen laptop or automatic cloud sync backup exposes this sensitive information under FERPA-like protections, inviting legal headaches, school investigations, and irreparable damage to professional reputation. Or take a small business owner banking on their Alienware laptop during travel. Copilot's voice suggestions log transaction patterns spoken aloud like confirm this $500 transfer during a routine IT audit, ransomware attack, or simple device handover for repairs. This financial metadata leaks to unauthorized parties, enabling targeted fraud, account takeovers, or identity theft that drains savings accounts overnight. These examples draw directly from documented risks in AI voice logging tools, where health notes from fitness apps discussed aloud or legal research queries spoken during work calls get vacuumed up pre-encryption, amplifying harms for vulnerable users like investigative journalists protecting confidential sources, therapists noting patient sessions, or executives handling merger discussions. The pattern is clear. What starts as convenience becomes a liability when everyday conversations become permanent records with weak safeguards. Dell did respond to the mounting pressure, but the fixes fall short. At CES 2026, they de-emphasized AI in consumer marketing entirely, retaining Copilot Plus branding only to meet Microsoft's certification requirements, while shifting focus to gaming lines like Alienware, which now highlight raw FPS performance over NPU demos in all promotional materials. They dialed back AI touting on non-premium Inspirons, acknowledging in public Q&A sessions that consumers view these features as confusion rather than value, and promised configurable features in future BIOS updates to let users dial down AI aggression, Yet independent testing shows remnants persist and problems remain unsolved. Windows 11.24 H2 still defaults Copilot voice activation on Dell motherboards, routing spoken inputs to cloud AI servers despite local NPU claims, creating latency and privacy gaps. Voice logging continues with filters that miss 20% of edge cases like background conversations or accents, leaving gaps in protection. Filters fail completely under load. A Windows' latest benchmark on Dell Latitude models showed NPU voice tasks overriding game modes and productivity apps, akin to securing your data with a 4-digit PIN while leaving the vault door ajar for anyone walking by. Dell maintains mandatory telemetry for optimization purposes, sending anonymized usage stats that include voice engagement metrics back to Microsoft servers, unbroken even post-Backlash, meaning your usage patterns still feed the AI training machine whether you use the features or not. You can take control right now with these practical steps. Start by disabling AI defaults universally. Press Windows key, type Settings, go to Privacy and Security, then Copilot, and toggle Copilot to off. This immediately kills the taskbar button, key shortcuts, and voice wake. Words across all apps, stopping constant listening instantly. Next, minimize telemetry collection. In Settings, go to Privacy and Security, then Diagnostics and Feedback, select Basic Data Only, and delete diagnostic data under the Delete Diagnostic Data option. Then, under Activity History, uncheck all boxes to stop voice logging, timeline features, and activity tracking completely. Review permissions thoroughly. Navigate to Settings, then Privacy and Security, then Microphone, and disable access for unused apps. For location services, toggle off globally unless absolutely essential for specific work. Advanced users can remap the Copilot key via Settings, System, Keyboard, or third-party tools like PowerToys, and delete NPU voice caches in C Windows System 32 NPU service folder, but always reboot afterward to ensure changes take effect. These steps reclaim processing power and battery life without voiding warranties, effective on any Dell Windows 11 PC from Inspiron to Alienware, giving you back control over your hardware. Dell ditching. Windows 11 AI hype proves one fundamental truth. Your PC should serve your needs, not corporate trends chasing buzzwords. Choose now. Option 1, disable Copilot in Settings today using the steps shared, or Option 2, share this video with a friend or family member on a new AI PC who needs to hear this before their next upgrade. Comment below which option you picked. Accountability drives real change in how tech companies respond to users. Next investigation reveals how gaming laptops secretly throttle your FPS, even on high-end models. Subscribe to stay ahead of these hidden hardware tricks. Your hardware, your control. Take it back starting today. Leave a like, circulate this video within your network, and subscribe to ensure you remain ahead of every major tech transformation.